January 2011, Tunisia erupts. Look at these Twitter hashtags. They go from Bouazizi, the man, to Sidi Bouzid, the town, to Tunisia, if you watch the Twitter spikes as the revolution takes hold. The leader, Ben Ali, flees to Malta and then to Riyadh on January 18th, and the signal is received loud and clear in Cairo. Now is our time. In Cairo, already restive, anti-regime Facebook sites have 400,000 likes. A call for demonstrations January 25th. But much true organizing was done face-to-face because it's dangerous, because the organizers know each other. No true leader, but many leaders, many parties taking place. Finally, in Egypt, it comes down to bodies on the line. All change finally does. 4 days of battling for Tahrir Square, Alexandria, Suez, other cities blow. The people want the regime to go. That became the unifying chant that was the vision of all parties. Never mind other demands, never mind other demands. This, everyone could agree on. This, they moved on. The regime killed the internet, trying to interrupt the inevitable. When they darkened the internet, everyone left their homes to go to the street. It had the exact reverse effect that had been hoped for. Egypt finally turns. U.S. says Mubarak must reform yesterday. The Egyptian military sees that's probably a good idea. There's $1.3 billion in aid at stake, and they're not quite sure about those troops sitting in the tanks in Tahrir Square. Those are middle-class kids. Those are the lieutenants and captains. They're sitting in tanks. The generals are off in Washington. Well, those kids in the tanks, families are in Tahrir Square, and those tank turrets swivel. So they cut short, the generals cut short their visit to Washington, came back, and everyone said enough. Out of time and out of support, Mubarak went. Was this a Facebook revolution? Well, it was likely would not have happened so fast, so far without social media, but as always, bodies on the line are what count. What now for social media? Well, regimes now get it, right? It's easy. Anyone can do it. That's the idea. And the social media sites don't really care about. They're not for the revolution or against it. That's not their business model, right? In post-revolution Egypt, Facebook accounts are up 5,000 a day. In pre-revolution Saudi Arabia, which we can think of today, Facebook usage is down 25% since January. People are scared. They're staying off of social media. Best practice, do not do today what you did yesterday. Novelty, reinvent. That's best practice in social media in the world of political revolution. And tomorrow, well, the real revolution in Egypt is yet to occur. This was just a seat change, but there are important gains, elections ahead, but it will take years. The work has begun. It takes everyone years. It took the United States. We had a civil war 100 years after the nation was founded in the 1860s. We had close to another civil war in the 1950s and 60s. Maybe the first Facebook revolution, but not the last. We've already been here. But I noticed this about Vietnam. So Vietnam this week protests about China, right? The fishing rights, the mineral rights, whatever it was in the South China Sea. So using Facebook last week, activists organized anti-China demonstrations. Well, do you think those activists noticed that they brought a lot of people out using Facebook? You bet they did. Do you think the Hanoi regime noticed it? You bet they did. Is this where it starts? Maybe. So, freedom, it's what it's all about, finally, at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. It's the freedom to breathe, to eat, to worship, to live life decently. It's the greatest collaboration ever, a nation of laws. It's said often, but never better than this. Here's the man, Abraham Lincoln. I'm partisan, it's true. But one of the great statesmen of all time, this is his phrase: government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Well, that's what it's all about. That's what Egypt wants. That's what Tunisia wants. I think that's what Brazil wants. I think that's what the United States wants. And we pause finally because so much is at stake as it was, and we're coming to the close of the presentation. When Lincoln spoke in 1864, the United States had been through 4 years of war, 500,000 dead, 600,000, 500,000 dead. A terrible, terrible war. In March of 1864, he was inaugurated for a second term as president. and a month later he would be dead. But at the second inaugural, he looked back and he said, here's what Americans need to do. And this is something that Egyptians need to do, and we all need to do. He said, with malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in. That's the end of the war. It's close. To bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. 1864. In a network world, we have the right to be left alone, and sometimes we have no choice but to be alone. The weight of decisions is such. But we have no right to go it alone. Too much is at stake, and too much is waiting for us on the other side. You can read more about this in our book. It's be published in January 2012. Bill Bratton and I are now finishing up Collaborate or Perish. It'll be out in bookstands, and we hope here in Brazil in 2012. Thank you. I appreciate it, and all the best. Thank you.